Everyone today to the Veterans Business Outreach Center Small Business Resource, which would normally be a day face-to-face, but unfortunately because of the pandemic, we're having to do it virtually, and we're obviously keeping it a lot shorter than we were, but we wanted to make sure that we still got it out there about all of the resources available to us. I'm Don Miller. I'm the Assistant Director and Senior Business Counselor for the Veterans Business Outreach Center here at Old Dominion University. Sherilyn Sagister is our Director. Sharitha Gordon is our Boots to Business Coordinator. And Troy Boner is our Admin Assistant. And I call him the glue that keeps us all together because he has so much he has to keep track of with all the different classes and the counseling sessions and such. This particular Veterans Business Outreach Center is one of 22 across the country. We serve the area of Virginia and West Virginia. And we previously had Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, DC, Delaware, and Pennsylvania. Now that they've got 22 different VBOCs, they've tried to shorten up the areas, and but it's still keeps us very busy. Obviously, with the recent pandemic and having many of our small businesses that we've helped try to get through with the PPP, the Payroll Protection Program, and the EIDL for the loans for your business if you have brick and mortar. It's kept us really busy. But here recently, we've had such an influx of new clients that we're trying to keep up with the amount of people that we're dealing with. And we've just opened up, just had our first face-to-face Boots to Business again up in Quantico, Virginia. And we've got another one coming up at Fort Lee. And we're still waiting for a lot of the bases to open back up. So we're doing everything virtually. And it hasn't been as much fun, I'll have to admit, but we still enjoy, we want to get the word out about everybody that we're helping and to make sure that we can meet your needs. Now, what you're going to see today are a few of our resource partners. And we actually would have liked to have done more, but because of the pandemic, some of these people are unavailable to be able to help us. But I think what you're going to get today is a whole lot of good information, and you're going to be able to reach out to these individuals if you need assistance for their particular area of expertise. So with that, once again, I'd like to welcome you to our Veterans Business Outreach Center Small Business Resource Session, and I will turn it over to our first resource partner.
My name is Joey Pocan. I'm with the Small Business Administration here in Richmond, Virginia. I'm also your veteran rep for the SBA here in Virginia. Working for the SBA, what do we provide? What do? We basically build everything off of 4 different pillars: counseling, capital, contracting, and disaster. So I'm going to give you a quick, brief overview on what these areas are. As far as counseling goes, we generally use our resource partners, which we have sprawled out throughout the United States and very commonly in this area. So more than likely, one of these organizations is near you. They are the Small Business Development Center, SCORE, Women's Business Center, Veterans Business Outreach Center, U.S. Export Assistance Center, Procurement and Technical Assistance Centers for all you looking for government contracting. They're free resources that can be found throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia. I highly recommend utilizing those. We also provide access to capital. However, we do not lend money directly, nor do we give grants directly. What we do is we work directly with lenders throughout the area. We have over 9,000 different lenders that we deal with in the Commonwealth of Virginia to provide access to capital to those new businesses that are just kind of starting out. Maybe you're a little shy on capital, maybe you're a little shy on the credit score side of the house. The SBA is there to help you. One thing we do require, though, a business plan will have to be written. I know that's usually a fuss, but don't worry, the fine people over there at the Veteran Business Outreach Center are there to assist you through their programs, Boots to Business, and their business plan boot camp to assist you in getting that business plan done. Some of the loan programs that we have out there is the 504 loan program, which helps you obtain real estate or major purchases, things that maintain value over a 30-year period of time. And we also have our 7A program, which helps you with your startup capital and access to various other funds. SBA Express loans are for much smaller amounts of money, dealing with under $50,000, as well as our microloan program, which is also turned into a line of credit, and several other programs out there to assist you in getting the funding that you need to launch your business or to expand it. One of the other things that we highly recommend is consider government contracting. Our 8A business development program, along with all of our certifications, our historically underutilized business opportunity areas, women's owned businesses, service disabled veteran owned businesses, our small mentor and protege program, as well as our natural resource sales assistance program as well. All these programs are there to help you be able to bid on contracts in a different pool from the rest of the main contractors out there is the best way to think about it. Last but not least, given our current time right now in these unprecedented times, we also have disaster assistance programs out there currently available. We work through FEMA throughout the United States when major disasters happen. Right now, given the current situation that we're in under the COVID crisis, we do have two main vehicles that have been rolled out for the public. So if you're a small business owner currently, this may pertain more to you than anybody else. We had the Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP program, where we worked with lenders throughout the area to assist those small businesses that were affected in making their payroll to keep people employed. Our second program, which is still currently running, is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. This is a loan program you can go to sba.gov and apply for if your business has suffered through the effects of COVID over the period of time. Simple application form, and it's right there online for you, again, at sba.gov. Again, I'm so happy that we found some way to get our information out to you as well as get all of you together. If you ever need me, Joey Pocan at the Small Business Administration here in Richmond, Virginia, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can email me at william.pocan@sba.gov, calling 804-767-0235. Good luck. I hope everything works out for you during these crazy times. And again, if you need anything, the Small Business Administration is here to help you in any way that we can. Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Brian and I am with Genie Jar Digital. We are a digital marketing agency. And today I want to talk just real briefly about how a digital agency can actually grow your sales. And that applies to not only the big guys or medium-sized businesses, but also small businesses and especially to startups. So when I mention a digital agency, I bet that there are some questions that start popping up in your head, such as, okay, what in the world is a digital marketing agency and how exactly can you grow my sales? And this sounds expensive. What's the price tag on something like that? Well, to answer some of those key questions, I thought we'd kind of first of all get in a time travel machine and go back to the 1970s. And I'm showing my age when I'm doing this because that's when I was a boy. But I don't know if some of you remember back in those days, there was a company called Sears. They might still be around in a few spots here and there. But Sears used to distribute these catalogs several times a year, and especially near the end of the year, according to Christmas time, they would give this Christmas catalog. And it was a massive thing. It was maybe 3 inches thick. It felt like it weighed 50 pounds. And I remember that about the beginning of November of each one of those years, my parents would give me this Sears catalog and a black magic marker. And they would say, okay, Brian, I want you to sit down. I want you to go to the toy section, because this catalog had everything: clothing, appliances, products. But the key part to me as a kid was the toy section. And they said, circle the toys that you hope Santa Claus will bring to you this Christmas. So, man, I got down on that floor, put that huge catalog in my lap, and I can still recall to this day how those glossy pages felt. And I can still smell the ink on those pages as I was going through those magical pages of toy after toy. I mean, Star Wars action figures and Etch-a-Sketch and electronic quarterback and Rubik's Cube and the viewfinders. Remember those, the viewfinders? And I would circle those things. And then when I was done, I would give it back to my parents, and that would begin the agonizing wait of 7-8 weeks until Christmas morning, wondering which of those toys, or if any of those toys, would show up under the Christmas tree. So when I think back to toy catalogs, man, it brings all that sentiment back to me, and it's really magical. So you can probably guess my excitement this past week when I went out to the mailbox one afternoon, and what was in there but lo and behold, another toy catalog. This is not from Sears. You can see that it's not 3 inches thick and it doesn't weigh a whole bunch, but this is from Amazon. And I'm betting that some of you probably received this in the mail as well. But when I saw this toy catalog, it brought back those 70s memories again, all that magic. So I started flipping through, and man, there is just so much cool stuff in here. All these amazing toys. I mean, option after option. Here's skateboards, and here's some Star Wars stuff. And they've actually taken it to another level. They have crosswords and stories. And check this out. They got stickers in this catalog. The options are just amazing. So for kids and for big kids like me, this is a magical, limitless experience. Now, what does all that have to do with digital marketing? Well, if you go back to those 70s, back in the days of the Sears catalogs, you know, your marketing was limited. You could choose the yellow pages. Remember those, the yellow pages? Or you could choose to do newspaper or mailers. And if you were really fancy schmancy, then you could get on the radio. And if you really hit it big, maybe you cut a 30-second TV commercial. That's when you know you hit the big time. But those are pretty much the big options that you had back in those days. That was it. That was marketing. But now, if you fast forward to today, 21st century, I mean, the options are like picking up that Sears catalog back in the 70s. They seem limitless. And that's because marketing has gone online. Marketing is digital. And that's where the real magic can begin to happen today for messaging and advertising and marketing your business. So think about this. It still amazes me that with one click of a button, you can buy a plane ticket to Hawaii. With another click of a button, you can have dog food delivered to your front door. I mean, does that blow anybody's mind except me? So what we try to do as a digital marketing agency is we harness all those options and all of those wonderful things that you can do on the internet, and we try to use that to spread the word about your brand, which includes stuff like search engine rankings. So when people are searching for keywords, they will find your product and service near the top of those rankings. We also do online ads. That includes Facebook, Instagram, Google ads that can really hit unique demographics. We do website development. So when someone actually visits your website, it doesn't look like it was built in 1995 on a Commodore 64. It looks like it's professional. It looks really sharp, and it has e-commerce capabilities. We do email automations. We help people with their blogging and with their live streams and with their webinars. Basically anything in the digital online space to help grow your sales. That's what a digital marketing agency does. So we believe that all of those incredible magical options are available for every size business, even a startup. And we can figure out what type of budget can work for your unique needs. And of course, as your business grows, that's when your budget can grow and you can do more and more things. But here's the real key that you must understand. When people are researching, when consumers are researching a product or a service, first of all, they're going to begin in Google. They're not going to begin by watching TV. You never know when a commercial is going to show up. They're not going to begin by listening to the radio. You never know when a commercial is going to be played. but they're going to go straight to their laptop or to their smartphone and type into Google or whatever search engine they're using, and they're going to type in research for that product or that service. That's why you must have an online presence that rocks. You've got to be good online. I mean, if people today are looking for you and they're trying to find your website and you don't have a website, that makes them raise their eyebrows and wonder, what's wrong with this company? Why aren't they in the 21st century? It's almost 2021. I mean, come on. So people research online. That's why it's critical that you have a robust presence online. Now, let me give you an example of how this works, and this might help to gel the ideas a little bit better. So let's imagine for a second that you're trying to open up a kids clothing store. Okay, I'm just making that up, a kids clothing store, and you want to open up not only a brick and mortar site, but you also want to open up something online for e-commerce. So if you wanted to get started with all the limitless options of digital marketing, this is what I would suggest. Start with your logo. Make sure that you have a visual representation of your brand, because that logo is going to show up not only on your apparel and your stationery and your invoices and your signage, but it's going to show up on your social media. It's going to show up on your website and other various places. Get that down straight. Then for your website, make sure that your website looks modern, it's intuitive, it's simple, it has messaging straight to your target market. We can help you with that, and other digital agencies can too. But that e-commerce capability is so critical. People want to pay online instead of stroking a check or going to a physical store sometimes. Now, on that website, maybe on your homepage, you could also place what we call a lead magnet. And that is something that you give your website visitors in exchange for them giving you their email address. Now, for the kids' clothing store, maybe you could offer a catalog like Sears did of kids' clothing, but you can offer it to them PDF, in a PDF format. So as someone gives you their email, you send out an email back to them, automated, that has that PDF of all the different choices they have for their children. Now, if you want to take it even further than that, you could start doing search engine optimization. So when people search out kids' clothing by certain geographical areas, guess who comes up in the rankings near the top of the page? That would be you. And then you could throw in the Facebook ads and the Google ads and maybe the Instagram, and those can be catered according to the demographic and the preferences that you're going after. Then don't forget, there's also social media and there's email automations. There are so many things that you can do with all the magical offerings of digital marketing. That is such a key to begin thinking that way. Now, also something that most entrepreneurs don't think about when it comes to their marketing, great marketing always connects together, like a chain link fence, like Legos connecting. You want to make sure that every part works together to take a prospective customer and transform them into a paying customer. And that's why every single part needs to be strategic, work together to get people to that final transaction. So this all sounds nice and fancy, but what's a price tag for something like this, especially if you're first getting started? Well, we tell folks all the time, listen, if you're getting started, just take a deep breath. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to circle everything in the catalog. Just start off with the basics according to your budget that you can pull off comfortably. And then as you do some of the basics, and we can show you what you can get for certain amounts, then as your business and as your sales continue to grow, then you can add more of the bells and whistles. You can do more things with more reach as you continue to grow. So it's doable for startups all the way up to the big boys and big girls with those huge businesses. Now, if you really wanted to press me and you said, okay, Brian, just give me the nuts and bolts. I don't have much. I'm just getting started. All these other costs are killing me with operations. What are the basics that I need for digital marketing? Then I would say, keep in mind 5 things, 5 basics, okay? Just focus on these if you're just starting. Number one, as I mentioned already, get your logo right. I mean, everybody's going to see that logo. Make sure that it represents the personality of your brand. Number two, get a decent professional website that has all the messaging correct with e-commerce capabilities. It's not hard to do today, and it's not all that expensive either. Number three, make sure you have a lead magnet on your homepage. I described that earlier. Something that you can give people either for free or at a very limited cost so that they will give you their email address, which is a bar of gold, because then you can continue the conversation with them. Then number four, is that where we're at? Number four, emails, email marketing. Make sure once you collect those emails from prospective customers, then you have software that even if it's just once a month, that you can email these folks to say, hey, just wanted to connect with you. Here's a promo code. Here's a special that we're running. And then educate them too. Don't make it a newsletter. Make it something that they want to read, something that has value in it. And then finally, number five, I would say social media. Just choose one platform. It might just be Facebook. It might be Instagram. It might be LinkedIn. Whatever is your favorite platform that can reach your target market the best, just choose one at this point. And make sure you make regular posts, even if it's just once a week, to show that your company has life. That's the key. So those key 5 areas could really set the foundation for you with your digital marketing. Now, again, if you have tons of other questions, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. And you can find me at brian@geniejar.net. Our website is geniejarmarketing.com. I mean, I'd be happy to answer questions, no obligation whatsoever. But just remember to start thinking of your marketing almost like a toy catalog, like this Amazon thing. There's so many incredible choices to choose from to grow and expand your business. You might need some help determining which areas you should invest in and which areas you should wait. And that's what a great digital advertising agency will do for you. So find someone who not only tries to educate you, but they can show you this is exactly what you need for your budget. And remember, as always, and this is always our refrain, that before you get sales, you've got to get leads. Digital marketing will help you to generate leads, which then can transform into sales, no matter the size of your business. So that's just a quick overview of a digital marketing agency and how it can grow your sales with all types of different magical options. Again, if you have any questions, I would love to talk to you. And thanks for watching today. Hope to connect soon. Take care.
Hi, my name is Naseem Matteson, and I own a company called Small Business ABCs. I'm a veteran, military spouse. I do accounting, bookkeeping, and consulting. I do some of payroll. Today, I want to talk about how important it is to have an accountant and bookkeeping services for your small businesses. When you start your business, as I say, it's a small business ABCs. So the main idea is this is the basic of any business. Every business needs an accountant, bookkeeper to run a smooth business and to know your financial situation at any time. And that's why the bookkeepers play an important role in any business success. So I do bookkeeping and accounting, and I'm a QuickBooks Pro advisor. Since QuickBooks is a #1 accounting software for small businesses, I offer wholesale discounts for accounting software, for payroll, for merchant account services. I've been with VBOC for 6 years and helping small businesses on either monthly basis or quarterly. It's always good to have a bookkeeper on your side when you have a small business.
Hello, and thank you for joining. I want to start by saying thank you to our veterans who served in the military and sacrificed for our country along with sacrificing for their families, both from me and from Fulton Bank. Also to Veterans Business Outreach Center as a great resource in our community and who we support and sponsor to be able to educate and facilitate seminars for education and what they've done in our communities to help businesses either expand or even think about what type of business that they are wanting to do, or even startup businesses that gets them started and strategies to be able to take it to the next level. So I want to say thank you again to our veterans and to the Veterans Business Outreach Center for those who have served our community as well. So this leads me into an introduction. My name is Sabrina Davis. I am the Vice President here, Premier SBA, Small Business Administrator, Premier Lender here at Fulton Bank and Banking Center Manager. I'm in Virginia Beach, and I've been a financial advisor for a little over 24 years and have enjoyed it. I'm very passionate in helping businesses with their financial needs and helping them prosper, and spend a lot of my time with the education, because one of three main reasons why some businesses fail, top reasons that is you just don't know what you don't know. And I commend you for being here and listening to what the Veteran Business Outreach Center has to offer to help mitigate that for you and be able to overcome those challenges that you might be able to see or have seen, or you might be seeing in the future as your business takes off or grows, or you're getting started with one. So that really leads me into the conversation that I wanted to have, and adding value of what could I do to help you understand different financial strategies that might be able to help you in your business. And as I'd mentioned, I'm with Fulton Bank, and in my introduction, I also want to include Fulton Bank is a #1 resource, and we are very passionate about helping you. We're very user-friendly as a bank to be able to help those businesses, whether it is sitting with you side by side, rolling up our sleeves as a financial advisor and try to come up with those strategies, or at least help you understand what options that you have and different strategies out there that can help you be successful in whatever venture that you're looking to do. So, three main reasons why a business might fail in my 24 years of doing this. I really wanted to take a minute and articulate on that because, as I mentioned, I'm passionate about your success in your business venture. And one of the things that you can learn from are other past experiences from businesses that have failed. And based on my expertise and what I know, is one of the main reasons is they have lack of capital. They don't have enough money going into the business. And therefore, here come the banks, right? We're here to help you facilitate and come up with different options to be able to acquire financing. The second main reason is a lack of knowledge. You just don't know what you don't know, whether you're starting up or you're looking to advance. And that's where we come in to be able to help you understand what are those options out there. And what I love about VBOC, the Veteran Business Outreach Center, is that they have different resources that they can help you as well, such as this seminar, to be, as an example, as one type of education portal for you to be able to understand what you need to know in order to become successful. There are a lot of different other partners that you can be using as a resource. I highly recommend for you to reach out and see what the SBDC, Small Business Development Centers, are doing. Each city and municipality has their own resources. and really reach out to understand as much as you can before you even get started. And if you are a business that has been in business already, those resources are also there to help you expand. Make it a lot less frustrating as you go down that journey to be able to take care of your business. And number 3 is lack of planning. If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail, is one of the little mottos out there that a lot of people say. And a business plan, in my opinion, is a must. It really helps you put a roadmap in advance of what you're looking to do for you and your business. Help you figure out what that roadmap is to be able to get from A and get to B, and be a lot less frustrated in doing so. So a business plan helps you dissect your financial needs, being able to ask a bank for what you might need for financing your business, additional resources to find out what your competition is, also help you with your economics component of your business plan, economically, what's going to make you sound, what's going to take and mitigate all the risks that are out there in advance. It also talks about advertising, who your competition is, all of the above in advance. And it really helps you take a minute to think about those things and put those things into place, or come up with strategies to mitigate any risks that you're uncovering in advance. So as I think of those 3 main reasons why some businesses fail, and in my opinion, doing this for 24 years, those are the 3 main reasons. If my client did fail, or the business that I heard of, and trying to understand how I can help my clients mitigate that risk, those are the top 3 reasons. So just to review, lack of capital, that's where you can go and find a bank to help you with that. Lack of knowledge, seminars, education, different partner resources out there in the community, and then also lack of planning. In my opinion, of putting a business plan together is critical to the success of your business. In my opinion, if you don't do a business plan, you're really setting your business up to fail. And that's where VBOC can come in and help you with that. So lack of capital is really where I'm going to hang my hat to try to add some value as you've joined us for some information that could be valuable and help you. We had talked about lack of capital being the number 1, and finding financing from different institutions, whether it's a credit union or a bank, it doesn't matter. One of the things that you're going to find as you're trying to find the right bank out there for you, and of course, Fulton Bank is here, and if you'd like to interview us, and you'll have my contact information at the end of how to contact me for an interview, or just any general questions that you might have. Whether you choose Fulton Bank or not, I really am very passionate that I want you to be successful. So would love the idea of you considering Fulton Bank, but at the end of the day, I'm here to help, whether it's Fulton Bank or not. So the lack of capital, we're getting ready to talk about how the credit unions and all banks are different. We're not the same. All banks have different business models. It doesn't make that bank or credit union a bad bank or a challenging bank. It's just we have different ways to do business. And some banks are looking for industries that are specific. Some banks do SBA lending. Some banks help startup businesses with financing, and some banks don't. Again, it doesn't make them a bad bank. It's just the strategy that you're going to be putting in place as you're trying to find the right partner for your business. And it starts with interviewing the different banks and credit unions to understand what products and resources are out there to be able to help you. So that's my first recommendation, is to interview a minimum of at least 3 banks and add a credit union in there. You will also have different questions that you're going to need to ask during your interview, such as, do you do SBA lending? If you are a startup business, do you do startup business lending? If you're a industry that's challenged, and like a restaurant, it's got a very small profit margin. So you may want to ask the bank, do you even lend for restaurants or whatever industry that you are in? And some banks do and some banks don't. So I just mentioned being able to understand some different resources for financing. So there are 3 different types of resources that you can ask in your interview to different banks. There are 3 different types of lending financing that the banks do, and one is conventional financing. Conventional financing means that the business can stand on its own merit and support the payment based on the revenue that they're already generating and profit that they have. They've been in business for a minimum of 2 years or more, and that is what we call conventional financing. Then there's SBA financing, which is a really great resource for any startup business or businesses that have not been generating revenue to support the payment. It mitigates the risk for the banks to be able to do the loan. They can go up to 75% in some instances on different products that the Small Business Administration offers as far as a loan is concerned, to help the bank be able to fund your project that you're actually asking for. Now, you can't go to Small Business Administration, SBA, and actually ask for the loan. You have to seek out a lender that does SBA lending in order to be able to apply for that type of financing. So as you're interviewing your different banks and credit unions, another question you're going to want to ask, does your bank do SBA financing? There's also what we call premier lender in SBA financing. And basically what that means is the government has pretty much given us a rubber stamp. If you are vetted as a premier bank for SBA lending, to say, okay, you've done it. Fulton Bank, you've done it many times before, and you know what we're looking for. So there are premier lenders for SBA products and services. And that may be another question you want to ask. Fulton Bank, as an example, is a premier lender. We've done it for years. We have a great relationship with Small Business Administration. We know what they're looking for, and it's a easier process, less frustrating when you have a bank that is a premier lender. It does not necessarily mean that you have to have one, but I wanted to explain the difference between an SBA lending institution and a premier lending institution. And then lastly, institution that doesn't even do SBA lending. So consider those in your interview questions as you are out there strategizing what's best for your business. Because at the end of the day, why would you choose a bank to do your business checking account, any of your ways to access and manage your funds, and they can't even help you with any lending if you need it in the future? You're kind of wasting your relationship building opportunity with a bank that can't even help you. So as you're building your relationship, which is critical with the bank that you choose, you're going to want to choose a bank that can help you holistically. And again, Fulton Bank is here, as we do specialize in SBA lending. We're a full service bank to be able to do that for you. And another reason why we choose to help not only for the veteran owned businesses, but Veteran Business Outreach Center, because we truly holistically believe in what the Veteran Business Outreach Center does for the community. And we love being a part of that. So much so that if you are a veteran-owned business of 51% or more and you're looking for an SBA loan, Fulton Bank actually does mitigate and take away one of the fees that are involved, just as a thank you to support our veteran community and doing a loan with us. So, and you again may want to ask that as you are interviewing your different banks and credit unions, what specials do you offer for veteran-owned businesses? What special programs do you have? And if the bank or credit union does not offer that, you may want to consider moving on and interviewing another bank to find somebody that does, or an institution that does. So the third type of financing is what we call microfinancing. So if we cannot do a conventional loan, if we cannot do an SBA loan, the third opportunity is a possibility of doing a microloan. And basically what that means is if you're not bankable, how do we bridge that gap until you do become bankable? And micro lending is a possible source for us to be able to help you mitigate and put that strategy in place until you become bankable. It's a little bit pricier in some cases, but it's out there. Be very careful, because if you are online and you're looking for micro loan financing, it is a predatory lending source in some cases, and want to caution you that you may want to get with your banker, financial advisor, to review before you make your final decision if you decide you want to do a microloan. Just to vet that company and just to make sure that it's not a predatory lender. That's what we're here for. That's what we do to help you. And if you're not receiving that type of service and have a banker or a private banker or a financial advisor to help you do that, well, I'm up for the task. I would probably fire that institution and find somebody that is willing to help me. Just a suggestion. So that leads me into, when we're talking about lack of capital, you know, how are banks or credit unions, or even taking it a step further, what do banks and credit unions think when you're coming to the table and asking for money to finance your business venture? So I'm going to break this down, keep it short and sweet, add value, and hope that you find it valuable for your time and that you were happy to be able to join us today to talk through some things that the banks and the credit unions are looking at when you're coming to the table and asking for financing. This will help you be less frustrated. So if you do get a decline, you'll know why. You should be able to understand the 8 C's, and there are 8 of them, of what the banks and credit unions are looking for when you're applying for a loan. So number 1 is conditions. Number 2 is character. Number 3 is collateral. Number 4 is capital. Number 5 is the capacity. Number 6 is cash flow. Number 7 is your commitment. And number 8 is your credit. So let's take a minute and talk a little bit about these. I'll probably spend about a minute or 2 on each one and try to help dissect what this really means. So we mentioned number 1, conditions. So as you think about your business, this is really the economic trends to your business. There's what you call a business model, and then there's the economics model. Most businesses, when they're doing their business plan, may overlook, in some cases, the economics model of your business. It's one of the most critical pieces to help sustain through mitigating risk. So how stable is your industry? What's the maturity of the industry? What's your local market conditions? What's your competition? What might be some barriers of entry? And what is your preparedness to be able to be a borrower and your experience? So think about conditions as it's outside circumstances that may impact the borrower's ability to repay a loan or their overall financial situations. These factors are the ones that I just mentioned below. Moving on to the second is character. When I think of character, what the banks are looking for and what the credit unions are looking for is, what is your experience in this industry? Have you run a business before? It doesn't mean that, oh, well, I haven't run a business before, so I've shot myself in the foot in the very beginning. That's not the way I want you to think about it. If you haven't run a business before, maybe you bring on a partner or a managing member that has run a business before and can help understand, because just because you know how to put together that product or service or offer that service, and you might be a subject matter expert, does not necessarily mean you know how to run a business. Really critical that you take in consideration both. So character is very similar to a resume. Think about your experience. What has been your training? What has been your education, past experience? And of course, have you run a business before? That really kind of sums up what character is about. Then you've got collateral. If you're a startup business, the banks just want to know at the end of the day how we're going to get our money back. When are we going to get our money back, and can we trust you? So when you think about those three questions, collateral is another way that we, at the end of the day, put that in place to say, if this business fails, what do we have as a backup? Just because you have collateral does not necessarily mean you're automatically approved, because all 8 C's are taken in consideration. So if you're a startup business, we may ask for collateral. And what does that mean? It means that you offer up equipment as collateral. You might have a vehicle as collateral, or real estate. You may have equity in an investment property or your primary home. Those are different things that you can offer up as collateral, and things that you want to think about. Not all loans or loan requests, whether it's conventional SBA or micro lending, require 100% collateral. It may only require 50% collateral, just some skin in the game. And in some cases, we may not ask for collateral at all. But it's important that you get with your financial advisor or banker and sit down and strategize with, okay, here's my situation. Here's my business. Here's what I'm looking to do. Now, what are my options? Review what's going to be required of me and walk me through that. And that's where the conversation of collateral will come in. The next is capital, liquidity. What is your cash position? This is also what we call skin in the game. So most loans, if not all, require at least 10 to 20% of your cash injection up front. So what's your skin in the game? If you're asking for $100,000 for your project, and we're going to probably come back and say we require, if we go through SBA, 10% down minimum. So do you have $10,000 ready to put in? But if you're looking to do a lease, and in some cases, we might go up to 100% financing with certain situations, whether it's a business credit card. For instance, I'm going to throw in a commercial. Fulton Bank has a business credit card right now that's 20 months, no interest, no annual fee. And that's an example of what today of a special that we're offering. And that might be a way to mitigate some of the supplies cash flow that you're going to need for financing. It gives you almost 2 years, no interest. So that's an example of different options. SBA lending usually only requires 10% down, but it's going to be based on the business model. Not all banks although they might offer SBA, are only going to ask for 10%. Some banks, like for instance, if you're a restaurant, they might, and it's higher risk, meaning that the industry is a higher failure rate. They might come back and say, well, we require 20%, and in some cases it might be 30%. So it's important to get with your financial advisor and your bank to come up with a strategy about what is best for you and how can you obtain that financing. How much will you have left after the transaction? How much debt does the business already have? Those are all things we take in consideration. And this is really the area of what we call skin in the game. So the next one we're going to talk about is capacity, the ability for your business to repay the loan. So if you're a startup business, right, you don't have tax returns, we don't really have a way to know that you can self-sustain and pay for the payment on the loan. So what is it that we do? So Fulton Bank would reach out to SBA, Small Business Administration, and see if they would consider your project. And then what's going to be required if we do go through SBA financing, and please hear me when I say this, a business plan is required. So remember 3 main reasons why some businesses fail. Lack of planning. Well, if you go ahead and do your business plan, you've marked off 2 things on your list anyway. Being able to put a roadmap to your success. Secondarily, if we have to go through SBA financing, you already have your business plan in place. They do require it. So those are the things that you want to keep in consideration to be able to have in place or be ready to have a conversation with your banker or financial advisor. So as I think about startup businesses and okay, I don't have tax returns, and yes, we're going to do an SBA loan. In that business plan, we're going to ask for 3 years projections of what all your variable and fixed expenses are, your cash flow, your balance sheet, and we're going to ask you to take your best guess of what up to 3 years looks like for numbers with your business. And that actually is in your business plan. So that goes into the capacity to be able to repay the loan, because at the end of the day, right, the banks and the credit unions and SBA, they really want to know how are they going to get their money back and can they trust you to be able to do that. So when I think of capacity, there's a last component I want to mention. What is your secondary source of repayment? Residual income. So if your business fails, do you have a source of income? Whether it's a partner or a spouse, or whether you have funds in a 401k that you can attain, or you may have a retirement, especially if you are a veteran-owned business, or maybe you got out of the military on a disability. As long as you have a secondary source of repayment, those are also making your ability to ask for a loan stronger. Those are things you want to keep in consideration. So the second to the last is cash flow. What's the rule of thumb for saving for unexpected expenses for a business? Well, it's really depending on your comfort zone. But I'll tell you that the most successful businesses, as they were interviewed, they really came up with, well, I saved all of my variable and fixed expenses up to 12 months. So if you think about it, your business plan helps you understand what your variable and fixed expenses are. Multiply that times 12, and that should give you a pretty good comfort zone. What that really means is if I don't have one customer or I don't sell one widget, how long do I want to stay in business? Is that 12 months, 3 months, 6 months? What is your comfort zone? So if you come to the table in that same example of a $100,000 project that you're asking the bank for a loan, we're going to ask you for 10% if we go through SBA as an example. So that leaves you with asking for a loan of $90,000. We're going to want to know What have you saved up for unexpected expenses? Because if you have a catastrophic event, such as the truck breaks down and you're a trucker, or you have HVAC that breaks down and you've got to get a whole HVAC system for whatever location that maybe you have a brick and mortar, whatever unexpected expenses may look like to any business. Our question is, what's your backup? And if you don't have a backup, do you really think that we are going to take on a risk of, well, they don't have a backup, they're asking for 100% financing, but if something happens, we're not going to get our money. So consider that as, okay, what's your backup? So some people really put in at least a minimum of 6 months, but that really is your comfort zone. The bank does not have a number that we look at that we specifically say you must have 12 months, but we're looking for something, whether it's a line of credit in place, whether it is a CD, whether it's 401k funds you can be able to reach out, pension plan, whatever that may look like, that you do have a backup and be able to do that. The final and last C of the 8 C's is really your credit score. In most cases, you're going to be asked to personally guarantee the loan for your business. Very few circumstances out there will you not have to guarantee. What that means is we look at your personal credit score and we'll look at your business credit score. So it's imperative that if the challenge is my credit score is not good right now, it doesn't mean that the deal's off. It just means that if you have a banker or a financial advisor that is a credit counselor as well, and I am, to sit down and come up with a strategy of how can we make your credit score as strong as we can, and then apply. Banks and credit unions cannot deter you from applying, but we certainly can help you to have the strongest package possible and to be ready for an approval and give you some tactics and strategies to be able to make that as strong as possible. But we'll never deter you from applying for the loan. So I would encourage you, there are seminars out there in the community. I actually conduct one, and VBOC actually has me do them, of what are the 5 algorithms of your personal credit score and how can you control that. You may want to take that seminar. There's also a seminar that talks about how to understand your business credit score. Do reach out, try to find out those strategies to put in place to make it a less frustrating process as you're looking to be able to seek out financing for your business. So that wraps up the 8 C's of credit. And I hope you found that valuable. If you want more details, the Veteran Business Outreach Center does have a more detailed class that they put on and present to have you understand even more of a deeper dive into all of those 8 C's. They also, as I mentioned, put on a class of understanding credit scores. So encourage you to reach out to Troy Bonner to be able to sign up for that class. So with that, that ends my presentation. And I just wanted to say from Fulton Bank and Sabrina Davis, thank you, Veteran Business Outreach Center, and also the veteran-owned businesses. Even if you're thinking about starting up a veteran-owned business, thank you for what you're doing and you're about to do for the community. And we so sincerely appreciate your service.
My name's John Rabil. I own a law firm named Launch, which works with small and mid-sized business owners, helping them make sure they protect themselves as they get their business started and continue to make it grow. I think there are a couple of reasons that legal services are important for small business owners. Namely, I think the most important asset that lawyers can be for small business owners is acting as a strategic partner and providing guidance around risk management and legal issues, hopefully preventing any before they turn into court cases or expensive time-wasting disputes. So really relying on an attorney as an advisor for your small business is the most important, I think, way to use lawyers. And then, of course, going along with all that is making sure any contracts, paperwork, etc., is taken care of, so everything's protected and you've got a solid foundation in place to limit your personal liability as you work on your business. So I thought I'd quickly hit on a couple of big risk areas for small businesses that I think should be sort of top of mind from getting the business started and then continuing on through the business cycle. So sort of the foundation or the place you really want to pay attention to when you're getting started is setting up the correct business entity. So 4 major ones to think about: sole proprietor, partnership, LLC, or corporation. Typically, it's suggestible that you avoid being a sole proprietor or a partnership. Main reason behind that is it does not provide the owner or owners any limited liability protection. So if something goes wrong in your business and you're set up as a sole proprietor or a partnership, then you individually and your partners, if you're in a partnership, are going to be held personally liable for any of the company's debts or obligations. So just by way of an example, you get into a contract dispute, end up losing the dispute, owe a client or a customer $50,000, they're going to be able to collect that money from you individually without having to look at the company to collect it. So, they'll be able to get straight to your personal assets, and nobody wants that to happen. So I'll quickly run through the other 2 types of corporate entities that are typically used. Most popular one is an LLC. That's what I see most business owners getting started with. In Virginia, it's relatively easy to get set up. Filing fees are relatively minimal. It does involve some filing with the state in order to get registered, but that's pretty much it to get one up and running as far as they're concerned. You will want to make sure you take some additional steps to limit your personal liability, mainly putting together an operating agreement and making sure you've got some organizational consents in place to show that you authorize the business to be up and running. Great thing about an LLC is it can have one owner or it can have multiple owners. So there's a lot of flexibility around that. The other entity is a corporation. It's a little more involved than an LLC to get set up. You pay a filing fee to the state with this one as well. You issue shares to the shareholders to show evidence of ownership. Similar to an LLC, you can have one owner or multiple owners, but there are some additional what they call corporate formalities that go along with a corporation. You've got to maintain bylaws, hold meetings, board of director meetings. You've got to appoint officers. It's a little bit more of an administrative burden. And so a lot of times there's not really a good reason for small business owners to take on any additional burden other than already starting a business. So LLC tends to be the most viable option and the easiest way to get going. Another big area that businesses need to be aware of, whether or not you're a sole owner or you've got multiple partners, is contracts. Contracts are either the first or second biggest risk for businesses out there. Changes year to year, but there's a good general rule of thumb for businesses when it comes to contracts, and it's you should have a written agreement with every single business relationship that you have, both internal and external. So internal, if you're using employees or independent contractors or interns, whatever the case may be, you need some sort of written agreement that explains what your relationship is and what the duties of everyone are. So that way there won't be any questions or concerns. If something goes wrong, you can fall back on the agreement move forward without it turning into some sort of big dispute. External, customers, clients, vendors, lease agreements, whatever the case may be, just make sure you've got something in writing. And, it doesn't have to be a 15-page document, single typed, 8 font. It can be relatively short depending on what type of business you're in. The important thing is that you address the major concerns and take the steps that you can to limit your potential liabilities. That may be disclaiming away something or limiting warranties so that companies can't come back on you. So making sure that you do that is very important. I know most small businesses getting started, there's a lot going on, and there's definitely a tendency to just go for the handshake deal. But making sure you're getting contracts in place can save you a lot of time and hassle down the road. Another area that's really important for small businesses to pay attention to is workers. So what that means is, are you using employees or independent contractors to help you work in your business? Particularly in Virginia, it's important to understand whether or not a worker should be classified as an employee or an independent contractor. Just this year on July 1st, they released some new laws that make it more difficult for businesses to classify workers as independent contractors. There's a state task force actively auditing small businesses to see if they're properly classifying workers. So it's very important to understand the distinction between an independent contractor and an employee, what your responsibilities would be based on whether you're using independent contractors or employees, how you can manage them, how you can fire them, and what you can require them to do. So the big thing to keep in mind, and this is where most businesses get into trouble, everyone wants to hire independent contractors. It's easier. You don't have to worry about the taxes that go along with it. You can just pay them for the work they do, and that's the end of it. The problem is you have no way to control an independent contractor and how they do the work. Otherwise, they'd be classified as an employee. So what businesses end up doing is hiring someone to come to work for them. They call them an independent contractor, and then they manage everything they do in terms of how they're doing the work and how they're getting the work done. If you were running a business like that and you were to get audited by the Department of Labor, then it's very, very likely they would classify that person as an employee, fine you. You'd have to pay penalties, interest, back taxes, all sorts of things. The other thing that's happened now, again, as of July 1st, is workers in Virginia can file their own action claiming that they've been misclassified. So there's been a rash of lawsuits recently where people classified as independent contractors have sued the businesses they're working for, claiming they're actually employees and entitled to back pay, benefits, overtime, whatever the case may be. And so far, they're winning those cases without much pushback at all. Businesses aren't going to have much of a defense in that case. And it's not going to be worth the risk you're taking if you're misclassifying your workers. So that's something to be very cognizant of as you're moving forward, starting to bring on people to help out with your business. Another big area to think about is intellectual property. So what that means is trademarks, copyrights, or trade secrets. Depending on what type of business you have, that will determine what type of intellectual property you have and what type of steps you might need to protect it. But every single business has some sort of intellectual property. The most common one is trade secrets. So think about your client list, your business development process, whatever type of internal processes you put in place to serve customers or clients. That's all information you develop specifically for your business. You don't want that to get out to the general public. So you've got to be able to, one, recognize intellectual property when it comes up, two, understand how to protect it and make sure that you're not at risk for that information getting out and disclosed because you didn't take the steps you needed in order to lock it down. So there's ways that you can think about doing intellectual property audits. You can plan based on sort of what your company's strategy or business plan is for the next 12 to 18 months. What type of intellectual property you might be creating, when you need to move to protect it, and that way you can have everything lined up, and it shouldn't be an issue with any of your intellectual property getting out. And again, that's important because intellectual property can be extremely valuable and a major asset to companies, and especially as you start to grow and expand your reach. So I think those are really some of the general guidelines for small businesses to think about and have top of mind, both as they're getting started out and as they continue to move forward. And again, really think about how you can use a small business attorney as an advisor, a strategic advisor, to help make sure that you've got sort of legal and risk protections integrated into your business plan. And that way you're proactively making sure you're not taking on any unnecessary risk or risk that you aren't aware of. And you can sort of limit your liabilities in real time as you move forward. So if anyone has any questions about anything, feel free to contact me. My contact info is 757-647-9232 or jrabil@launchstrategylegal.com. Thanks.
Welcome to a brief presentation on the Veterans Transition Forum. My name is Michael Steele, and let me introduce myself in terms of who I am and what we might be able to do to assist you going forward. Veterans, yes, I am a veteran. I'm a third-generation veteran. And at one point in the past, we, as the Veterans Transition Forum, were in your shoes, or in your boots, as the case may be. I am a third-generation veteran. My grandfather was a Harlem Hellfighter in World War I. My father was a Buffalo Soldier in World War II. And then my brother Gary and I were the first two African-American brothers to enter the military academy at West Point. After graduation, I served as an infantry company commander in Vietnam, and then as a staff officer for the commanding general of Special Forces. And then I did that transition thing. I transitioned out of the military into the civilian world. In the civilian world, I've worked for a number of corporations, including the Southland Corporation, which you might know by its other name, 7-Eleven, a franchise company. So I worked for a franchise company for 14 years. Additionally, later, after my first semi-retirement, I became a franchisee myself. I worked as the franchisee for the Huntington Learning Center in Charlottesville, Virginia. 6 years there. I have subsequently semi-retired again. And if there are classes going on at school, I'm a substitute teacher in the high schools. I work 2 days a week at the golf course, and that is as an employee at the golf course. And I work also as a senior mentor for the Veteran Transition Forum. Well, who is the Veteran Transition Forum? VTF was founded in 2012 as a 501c3. We are a nonprofit organization, and every one of our folks is a military veteran or a spouse of a military veteran. And we have each more than 20 years experience in franchising, business, and working with veterans. If you have an entrepreneurial spirit, this is an invitation for you to explore franchising. This is what we do. We help you in the process if entrepreneurship is in your future. How do we do it? Traditionally, we had done it with about 35 seminars that we conducted usually here on the East Coast, at military bases. But due to the COVID situation, we have now transitioned into a 1.5 to 2 hour Zoom presentation, which we conduct each Thursday, usually between 10 and noon. We've conducted additional sessions as necessary with other smaller groups. The Q&A, the questions and answers at the end of the webinar will allow you as an individual to determine if this is the direction that you want to go. We also schedule one-on-one sessions with individuals who want to move forward with us after the presentation. In bold letters, you see that all of our services are free. There is absolutely no charge to you for any of the services that we provide. Our goal is to have you as an individual become a business owner so that you can hire other veterans. What do we cover? In the presentation, we talk about the questions that you need to ask of yourself and your family if this is going to be something that you all do going forward. We talk about a brief history of franchising, the types of franchises, franchising opportunities, the pros and cons, the acquisition process, and financing opportunities. There are a number of key takeaways, and I'd like to introduce Phil Trigg, who will tell you about the takeaways that you can expect from our seminars.
Good day. My name is Phil Trigg. I am a Army veteran, 21 years in the Army. My war was Vietnam also. I was visual reconnaissance in an aerial 01 Bird Dog, primarily, and then briefing officer for a Corps commander. Key points and takeaways. Franchising is a proven business model, but it's not for everyone. If you have a widget that is unique and needs to be in every home, start your independent business, get the widgets and sell them. But franchising is a proven business model. It's an opportunity. There are thousands of business format franchise opportunities. Franchise companies want veterans. In fact, many of them will discount their fees so that veterans will join them. Success in franchising is a result of implementing systems and methods. Primarily, a franchise operations manual is no different than a military unit SOP. The franchise manual, the difference is the franchise manual tells you how to, or shows you how to make money. Some of the other takeaways: evaluating your franchise opportunity is a process. You are in control. The prospect is in control. Never lose sight that it's your money and your future. You can lock in on a control of a franchise acquisition. There are financing options. Banks are loaning money, and we know which banks across America are loaning money. Banks would prefer to loan for a franchise and possibly even a veteran. Prospects need a quality business plan. A franchise business plan is much easier to develop, whereas an independent business plan could be 40, 50 pages. A franchise business plan is 10 to 12. And a lot of the information for the business plan is provided by the franchisor. We will provide free support throughout the franchise acquisition process. Why do franchisors want veterans as franchisees? We are systems oriented, we're disciplined, we're mission dedicated, committed, we're trainable. How many training classes have you been involved in, or how many training classes have you taught yourself? We're very trainable, and these are the attributes that a franchisor is looking for. If retired, we have financial resources and benefits to help cover living expenses while we build a business. Like, we provide free one-on-one mentoring, selecting a franchise to consider, introduction to opportunities. We guide our veterans that are working with us through the acquisition process so that they acquire a franchise on their timetable. Due diligence is evaluating a franchise. We provide an opportunity to utilize our questions in contacting other franchisees in that franchise and evaluating the business opportunity. We guide people through developing a business plan and acquiring financing. I'd like to talk a little bit about one of our veterans that joined us. We met Aaron Bailey at Fort Lee. He was a sergeant, and Aaron wanted to acquire a franchise where it would just be him operating the business. Well, what Aaron didn't realize is that his wife took the calls from realtors, and she scheduled him. So he was actually working for his wife. If you go into an independent business or start an independent business or a franchise and you need employees, hire other veterans. That's what Aaron did. At first, he didn't want to have employees, but as he grew the business, he hired another veteran and a contractor at Fort Lee. And since then, he has hired 2 more people, including a veteran, who are in training today. So Aaron, over the last 5 years that we've known him, has built a tremendous business in Richmond.
On October 10th of this year, 2020, Lieutenant Colonel retired Kelly McIntyre fulfilled one of her dreams. She had the grand opening of the Dog Stop franchise in Richmond, Virginia. It was a rainy day. There were puddles outside, but there were also poodles outside. At least 30 to 40 folks were attending her grand opening and bringing their dogs with them. We worked with Kelly through the acquisition process all the way to the acquisition of funding, which we were able to accomplish with the assistance of Don Miller from the VBOC. Kelly's original finance situation was adversely impacted by the PPP, and her application was put on the back burner. Again, when we were there with Kelly, presenting her with her grand opening flag, she said with a little tear in her eye, "This is my dream." Whatever your dream is, if it includes franchising or independent business, whoever you select, make sure that they are providing you with everything that you need to make a conscious decision for yourself and your family. We provide webinar registration for you to do the best that you can in coming up with your solution. Phil's name is there along with his email. My name is there along with my email. And I will close by saying, what is your dream?
Well, I hope you all have enjoyed the small business resource session that we've been able to put together today. Obviously, we look forward to next year when we can do this again face to face. I would first like to thank our resource partners that contributed today. And I'd like to mention a few others that were not available for this particular session. the Women's Business Center that is co-located with us. A lot of the veterans that we deal with obviously are female, and the Women's Business Center can provide some networking services and other things that that we also provide, but they do it on a different level. Along with the Women's Business Center, there's the PTAC, and the PTAC is the Procurement Technical Assistance Center. Now, their primary area of focus is government contracting, as well as helping with certifications such as SDVOSB, HubZone, and the like. Additionally, we have SCORE, which we have partnered with over the years. Their headquarters is out of Richmond, Virginia, and they assist us oftentimes with our Boots to Business classes. They provide a lot of the same services that we do, and that they mentor and they coach and they help with business plans as we do. And of course, right now they're locked down as we are. We're fortunate to recently open up to some of the classes. And we look forward to having people back in our office space and doing these classes face to face. This coming, obviously, we've got Veterans Day coming up here in the near future, and we look forward to being able to participate that more once the pandemic is over. But in addition, I would just like to say thank you to all of you folks that were able to come and view this today. This is always a big joy for us. We enjoy it. We look forward to meeting with everyone. And by the way, we are part of the Institute for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. We are a small grant from the Small Business Administration. And we try to work with a lot of the colleges and universities here in the area, as well as with the economic development folks from the different cities. We also work real closely with the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And we look forward to helping anyone with any endeavor that they want to do, as long as it's legal. So with that, having said that, once again, I appreciate you coming and viewing our Small Business Resource Day, and look forward to hopefully seeing all of you again soon face to face. Thank you.